class in a few minutes. I forgot about that.
Okay,
Okay, yeah.
cool.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
still Hollywood.
Okay, yeah. So this is really great. So, well, I wrote down, and you can tell me if anything else sticks out to you, or if anything feels wrong at this point. But you want there to be a sense of empowerment so that the people who are part of this feel like their story matters. You want there to be an approachable and relatable feel. You want this to sort of be like a Hollywood 2.0. So we're building off the foundation of Hollywood, but making something new for a new generation, and yet having like a sense of reverence and honoring the old system at the same time. So these are different things that I wrote down. Um, any other, like you said, we're talking about emotions before, like any other emotions that you want people to have when they think of Real World or when they see your logo?
I think that the message here is that, and maybe this will pull something out for your question, but essentially, real world at its core is focused on character development, because the character story is the vehicle for the character's growth. And so at its core, what we're really doing, like real world is actually like an education play wrapped in entertainment. Like we're saying, hey, you can join this cinematic universe, any cinematic universe from any, whatever you love, ideally we'll be partnering with. And within that, you're going to be able to be the character in your own cinematic stories. And like this has to do with alter ego effect. This has to do with the power of visualization, of visualizing yourself as something greater. So by you looking into yourself and saying, okay, I want to be this type of character, and I'm going to go on this type of journey through our story prompts, etc., that our app and our system puts together for you. You're going to find, and you're going to have to dig inside yourself to express these moments, these story moments, and whether you film something all by yourself or you film something with friends. So at its core, real world is about someone looking deeper into themselves and seeing that they are the hero. They're the hero in their own lives, and that they're actually amongst other heroes, and that we're all united on a journey together. And I think that no matter what, whether it's JFH or if it's Star Wars one day, or if it's DC or whatever, whoever we're working with, like that is what the experience is going to be for people. That's what we really want, that core experience. That's what we're focused on.
Okay. So actually that what I wrote all of that down, and I wrote it in for my next question, which was sort of what are the main values or mission statement for your company? And it sounds to me like that's a lot of what that is. Like
Yeah.
uh the looking in yourself and finding your own hero, the focusing on character development, the you said something that was really great, education wrapped in entertainment, which I thought was a really key phrase. So if you have any other sort of main values or mission statement for Real World, let me know. But that
It's
I wrote
it's
all
really
of
just
that.
bringing out the inner hero. The root of the word education actually means to bring out, rather than impose on. So I think a lot of times people think of
Okay.
education as, oh, I'm being taught something, someone's pushing something onto me. And what we really, the attempt is to bring the light from inside out and make it brighter. So as long as we're focused on people knowing that, hey, like it's actually about you connected to all of us. And that statement is true. Like we often say, like the greatest story ever told is your story.
Right.
So like, yeah, that's really.
Awesome. I have just a few more. These shouldn't be as involved, I don't think. Are there any colors or color palettes that you think about when you envision your logo, or even fonts or styles of typography? Just anything that comes to your mind. You can tell me now, or you can put together. In fact, there's the next few questions are for you to sort of send me some inspiration, things that you like, things that you don't like. But my first question of that is like thinking about color. Usually when I design a logo, I just start with black, just so that there's like it's one solid thing that we can kind of agree upon. But if you're wanting something photoreal, or you're wanting something with specific colors in it, it's good for me to keep that in mind. And if you don't know, that's okay too.
I'd say, well, first I'll start this off by saying that I've watched maybe 30 minutes of the Helvetica documentary. So
For
that
the
should be some props for me.
Helvetica about
oh,
the yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, but outside of that, there's there is that real world orange that we're using that that personally resonates on a very high level. And I'd love to keep that orange. I can give you the exact like hex code for that, the 6 numbers.
Yes, please.
Well, what is it again? EA7700.
Wow.
EA7700.
That
Is
is
that
the
just
real
like
world
from memory,
orange.
or is that like tattooed on your arm?
Oh, what'd you say?
You said, is that just from memory, or is that hex code tattooed onto your arm?
No, no, 005494 for JFH is kind of branded in my mind, but for the JFH blue.
Okay, great. But yeah, okay, so that's definitely great to know. Yeah, so basically, actually, so to the next two, again, if you do think of other parts of color palette that you're interested in, I'd love to know that. Like I said, if there's fonts that you particularly love or don't like, and what reason, is it a matter of like it looking bold and strong, or is there something that looks more, you know, playful and organic? And that also goes for the next thing, which is, are there existing logos that you really like and why, or are there ones that you really don't like and why? So if you have any of those thoughts, those types of things that you're drawn to or purposefully not drawn to, I'd love to see some of that inspiration, because that will really help me. And you can do that. You can either send me screenshots. You can create a Pinterest board that we can share if that's something that you like to do, or just links to websites.
Yeah, I'm happy to send you, just put together an email with a few links. I mean, right now, the closest thing to, I mean, I haven't thought as much about the logo in terms of the app logo, because again, I think that a big part of this is that whatever the image is, it fits inside of can be made a stamp.
Right.
So I'm yeah, I would think more deeply about the actual logo image. I mean, aside from as I was going to describe for the title card, but essentially it's kind of this maybe potentially one could be integrated into the other.
Right. Well, Zach and I've already discussed that. So, like, in order for him to create some movement to something, he it would be great if there was something for him to either design out of or
yeah,
into.
I totally get it. Or yeah, it's essentially something to begin with or something to end with.
Right.
So I mean, I like the real world logo that we constantly talk about, and so I'm happy we're 47 minutes later. We're probably get to reveal this like it's essentially the concept of a you're in space, right? And the planet, like you're seeing the planet, but the planet is a potentially has a reel in it, or has a like a ring like Saturn with the celluloid around it. I kept on seeing the Saturn idea came yesterday from Autumn, and I really like that because it's there's a Tai Chi logo that I've ripped off that has like the Earth is partially a yin yang. It's like the Earth and yin yang mixed together. And I always loved the concept of the rather than yin yang, it being like a real, so it's a real world, and potentially, and I can send over even potentially a mock-up, but I could or a drawing, but the concept of the real, and one of the reasons I like the shepherd video you sent over yesterday, Zach, is like the little kid figure. I kept on thinking of at the lip of the final end of that little reel, the tag of the reel in the bottom, of just having like a little kid, like with his hands open or something like that. So when I saw that on the shepherd thing, I was just like, oh, it could be like the little real world kid. Because I think to a certain extent, the first thing that like Jet just saw Mortal Kombat from 1993, bless you, last weekend or the weekend before, and bless you. And the first thing he wanted to do when we finished the movie was to get up and play as Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. And that's really what ReelwUrld is doing. ReelwUrld is like taking that innate desire that you have as a little kid. You watch a movie, you want to get up and do it. We're like, okay, here's the infrastructure. Here's the way to go and take your inspiration and actually go and do something with it. So like to me, that there's that was a kind of a big reminder for me of what we're doing and why it's so relevant. And culturally, people were more comfortable now than ever before to be able to actually like execute on something like that.
And so you mentioned this idea of like the celluloid around a planet like Saturn, like the rings of Saturn, and you mentioned this Tai Chi logo with the yin yang Earth. Can you send me those images that you kind of, if they exist
Yeah,
already? I'd
yeah,
love to see
yeah.
that.
Well, my Tai Chi, I can send you the Tai Chi logo. I mean, the image of the celluloid around a planet I have never seen before. Like the title cards I keep watching, that make me feel something big. There's one, and maybe you guys might remember this, but there's something from the 80s. It might have been early 90s, but I think it was the 80s, and it was like there was these beams of light, like lots of them, like you're kind of moving through a wave. And I'm not sure if it was a movie theater chain that did this or if it was a show or a studio. But essentially, like you're moving through all these beams of light, and at the end of the beam of each light, there's like a star kind of like filter, kind of bulb of light, like with a star filter on it. But in between the layers, you're seeing like images of cinema history that you're moving past. And Marvel may actually be doing something similar to that now. If I maybe not, but yeah. Anyway, so like there's just that concept to me of moving through like your space, like the vastness of space and darkness of space feels like a movie theater. And so when you have all this light, like the lights being projected through the film, it's very, very interesting to me. Just the how all those feelings kind of connect. The theater of the mind, the vastness of space, like cinema as a whole. Like these are just interesting concepts.
Yeah,
That
let
are
me
playing with
ask you, something popped into my head and I want to know if this is a direction that you'd find interesting, but what about so this would be more on your end of things and not mine, but again, I would have to extrapolate the logo from this. Is what if like somehow it went from space to Earth to the Hollywood sign, and but the Hollywood sign becomes real world because again you're taking this concept of Hollywood and updating it for this new generation, this sort of like I don't know, but again, it might be too on the nose, but just that's something that kind of popped into my head.
Oh, that's that our developer, that's all she talks about is exactly that thing that you just described. So I mean it's literally that's all she talks about. She's like, we need to do something with a Hollywood sign falls
Okay.
down, and it's the real replaced with the real world sign. And I'm just like, you mean Burns? No.
A big fire, a bonfire. No,
Yeah, we
yeah,
have a graphic we didn't put out of the Hollywood sign burning and say it says it's
right,
the
right.
real
And I
world.
and I,
We didn't
and I
put that.
think what you talked about, sort of with reverence for Hollywood, for me, it would be more about sort of like something growing from the Hollywood sign or evolving from it, as
Yeah.
opposed to the fun idea of
Yes.
burning it down. But I understand that as well.
Yeah. No, it's super fun. This is super fun, destructive.
That's the epic bonfire that
I mean, I also like this idea of like, it's like this like single voice, versus the voices of the many,
right.
right? And like the you know how powerful like a group of people all working together is, and I like that idea of like transitioning from like the one to like pulling out, and then it's like, oh, like you're not alone,
Yeah.
or with other people who all are like minded.
Yeah. Yeah. I got chills when you said that just now. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
great.
great. Okay, so like I said, if there's other iconography or images that exist in the world, typefaces, colors, anything like that you want to send me, and if there's something that you like just hate and you're like, this does not work for me, I don't like this style, whatever, just send any of that to me. That would be really helpful. And then my last main question is, I know you've thought about, you want the title card and you want the logo, but as far as the logo goes, I'd like to know what it is that you'd like. Sometimes logos are purely the name of the company. Sometimes they are an image or an icon.
Mm,
Sometimes it's an icon that can be extrapolated. Think the Nike swoosh. Obviously, Nike is Nike. You don't need the word Nike anymore to know that the swoosh is Nike. We're not there yet,
yeah.
but we could create something to go with the word that helps, and it might end up being a planet with celluloid around it, or it might be some kind of thing that we already talked about. But basically what I'm asking you is, what is it that just just think of the logo itself now, do you want it to just be the words with an image or an icon? And
The
sometimes,
Nike swoosh analogy, I think is really delightful because it's I think about that often,
yeah,
and it's I'm honestly not sure, and I can ask the team, but I'm honestly not sure when it comes to like font style for Real World. Like the what we have on the website right now is the closest thing to me feeling comfortable and strong that we've had at all ever. So I'm just like, oh, okay, wow, this is something. This is good. But I also think that it's intention is everything. Like it's not intentionally designed for us. It is.
sure.
So
So
I
I'm
think that
looking at, you have like this little film reel. To me, as like, I'm looking at that right now, and to me, I keep thinking the company must have a Q in the title, right? Because that little film reel
ah
icon looks like the letter Q to me.
oh
So I'm
there's no
looking at,
cue.
yeah, so I'm looking at it thinking like, oh, what does that Q mean, right? So I would like to incorporate, I like to do iconography that's either very understandable,
Yeah.
um, either abstract on purpose, very understandable, or some kind of monogram of the letters. So it would be more like an, like a U would
Yeah,
be
we often think about the U,
a U.
and I
Okay.
think that my only challenge with the U is, remember when Apple became like cool, like the iPods and everything
Yeah.
was I, and
Yeah.
then like then YouTube came out, and then things were like you and like people were saying you with the Y. So I mean, obviously, you real world, it's a huge part of. I think the however we can. Text, yes, 100%. Logo that could be extrapolated from it, like in terms of a stamp, absolutely. That's definitely what we were thinking. And that stamp is essentially the foundation of what the title card would be.
Yeah.
From my perspective, like that, like
I feel like
pulling
that
out.
also gives you. So sorry, not to interrupt you, but I feel like it also gives you flexibility as
Right.
far as the logo, where it's like, oh, like it's something like small that we're putting this on. Cool, like just the stylized you.
Great. Now, the other thing I usually tell people is you can have a logo that incorporates the web address as well. But I usually suggest that strongly for people who don't have a clear website. So yours seems to work for realworld.com. If it didn't, for example, like if you had to type in real dash world, or if you had to type
Yeah,
like realworld
Not
dot org or something,
Squarespace.
then then I always say like you got to get that in there. But if nowadays, especially young people, which is your target audience, if they know your company's called Real World, they'll just type in realworld.com and that will come up. So it's not as necessary to have it. But I can show you options where we do incorporate the website, because at this stage you just want everything to be branded so that people can find you wherever they're looking.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's really. Yeah, I would look into. I'll say this. I don't really, I'm going to stop recording. Hold on.